anger management is such a huge topic as it affects our health and well-being. And Dr. Rutherford and I have been talking about that for quite a bit the last few minutes, and we decided to jump on and talk to you about life beyond anger. Again, welcome, Dr. Rutherford. So happy to explore this topic with you once more.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Yes. So we talked about life beyond anger, and we started going on about it, and we were thinking that, wait a minute, we should be doing this video. Let's stop, right? So we're here. And so managing our own anger and managing the space where others are angry. And that impacts our health in so many different ways, and it causes stress. It causes many illnesses. And let's talk about first, what really is anger?
Anger is the response we have to things happening in the environment that affect our sense of what is fear, what is just. So obviously, anything that is painful, when that happens to us, we react by saying, that's not fear. I should not be experiencing this pain. Or if we see something painful happening to someone else, our sense of justice says, that's not right. And the emotional feeling that comes as a result of that is anger. So there's healthy anger. There is that moves people to correct injustices, that moves people to protect innocence. But there's anger that is destructive because it becomes a part of the defense mechanism that is out of control. So maybe I should explain the whole idea of control and how the brain processes and functions around that. Okay, so we have a part. The limbic system sits at the base of the brain towards the back, and it controls a lot of our automated responses. Within this limbic system is a part called the thalamus that processes sensory inputs, and if there's a sense of danger, then it sends a message to the amygdala, which is the trigger mechanism for the flight-fight response, and it will, generate the secretion of a number of chemicals and reactions in the body that prepares us to deal with whatever danger we're facing. The critical piece here is right beside it is the hippocampus, and the hippocampus is where memories are stored. And as we store the memories of the things that cause us pain in the hippocampus, whenever we meet situations again that trigger those memories, the emotion we had when the incident first happened to us become our present emotion. So, for example, a person might have been abused as a child, beaten badly, treated poorly, and so forth. And they learn to cope, and they grow up, and they move on, they get an education, they get a profession, they have a family of their own. And here comes a child, maybe the fourth, fifth child, or second, third child, maybe the first child, that is a spit image of the person who used to abuse them. And every time they see the child, the memory comes back of the abuse. And they become angry at the child because the reaction they had to the abuse that they had was the sense of injustice is not fear, and they're angry. They couldn't express the anger because it would have been too expensive for them. So they hid it inside. That pain is covered with denial and all kinds of other things. And so there are people who are not conscious that they are walking around with this time bomb inside of them. So part of what I do with people when I counsel with them about their emotional issues is I ask them to do an inventory. I ask them, write down all the painful situations you have had in your life. Do a journal. And ask yourself the question, have I forgiven those responsible? Because so long as we continue to hold judgment on these individuals, we retain the anger at them. Or at whatever organization or even God. There are people who are angry at God. Some people say, I pray to God for my father to live or my mother to live, and he made them die, or whichever one it is. And how could he not, after I prayed with such faith, honor my faith and give me what I wanted? It's not fair. He healed somebody else and didn't heal my relative. Okay, so anger is something that stays with us, but it manipulates us. Let me let you. I think I've rambled on there for.
Oh no! Go on. This is just a good conversation. What I thought of as you were talking about somebody that resembles a person that has, inflicted pain on you that you're angry about and it's suppressed deep within. What about that person that behaves? These are triggers. And so, for example, you have parents that have certain personalities or certain behaviors, and those children were abused by those parents. And when they meet someone with those same propensities, then they treat that person again. And because you're reliving that pain, that suffering, because they have not been healed. And so that's what came to mind as you were talking, that it's not only what it looks like physically, but what it looks like emotionally, mentally, socially, maybe settings that makes you uncomfortable. Some people don't want to do birthday parties because of growing up not doing one, because of angry things that happened at a certain party and school and just different circumstances that causes that anger. And it's really important that if we find someone that has an anger issue, or if we have an anger issue, to encourage that person to dig deep. As you said, you give people that roadmap. When I coach people, I use different tools to get them unstuck, to find out what's causing their pain. What have they not dealt with? And a lot of times what I find is they have conflicts in their beliefs because they're not accepting that they're angry, and you have to walk them through that conflict to kind of get it resolved. So there are different tools that we use to get them to that point where they can deal with that challenge and really talk themselves through it, because it's very powerful when they find their own solutions and we give them the tools to do that. So, that's really what came to mind. So managing our own anger, how can we do that?
Okay. So let me give a perspective to that, and I get into how we deal with that. The issue is multiplied by the fact that none of us want the pain of the past to become our present pain. And the way we deal with that is try to control our environment so that we keep pain from coming to us again. Some of it is through avoidance. We avoid painful situations. Some of it is through dictating the terms, like getting ourselves in situations where we are going to be embarrassed or let down or look bad or whatever the case might be. So anger is one of the manipulative tools we use to control our environment. Don't mess with me. Okay, I'm not going to let you hurt me again. Just don't mess with me. But
it's really about not feeling that pain again, whether it's from the past or current. It's that thing that just comes up.
Yes. So especially for people who have not figured out healthy ways to deal with their pain, to deal with the reality of the world in which we live. Recognize this reality, and this is a mantra that has helped to guide my spirit over the years. Bad things happen to good people all the time in a sinful world, so I'm not exempt from painful situations. 1, 2, people do what they do because of who they are, not because of who you are. So because somebody has caused me pain doesn't mean that I deserved pain. And doesn't mean that I should keep that pain that they have shared with me and let it manipulate my life and make my life miserable for the rest of my life.
And get you ill.
Okay. And get me sick. Because when you keep all that anger in, all kind of negative chemistry takes place. You become anxious, depressed, all kinds of stuff. And one of these days we can talk about how it affects even the very physical structure of the brain itself. It's not just the hypertension and diabetes; it's the very structure of the brain itself that is affected by this excessive anger that we carry, that throws us out of balance. Okay, so let's look at it now, that those of us who use anger to deal with situations in life, what we're actually doing is refusing to deal with the challenges rationally, with respect for the people around us, and saying, my feelings are more important than everybody else's feeling in here, and if you don't do things the way I want them done, then I'm going to blow a lid and all of you are going to get sent to hell. Okay, so that is the attitude, and that's the mentality. Then we flip it on the other side now, where you will find that there are individuals who are in our environment and we are victims of their anger, because they have learned to manipulate their environment through anger, and it's toxic to be in that environment, that person, and that's where that saying that I talked about earlier comes in. People do what they do because of who they are, not because of who you are. If a person is angry, even if you have done something wrong, if their reaction is just brutal anger towards you, they have a problem. Okay? You may have a problem for having done something wrong, and you need to correct that. But their reaction to you cannot be justified by excessive negatives, curse words thrown at you. That is coming out of them. That's who they are.
Right.
Okay. They have pain, unresolved issues that they need to deal with, that they need to not share with you. Our work in life must be redemptive, and the richness of redemptive work is that as we work to heal others, we ourselves become healed.
Yes.
So
can I interrupt you right there for a second?
Yes.
What you said was so powerful in that it becomes, we learn from it, because my toolkit is so full of understanding, of wisdom, of strategies, of different things that I use, because I've spent my lifetime just talking to people and talking them. And the more I talk to different people from different spheres of lives and get to understand where they are, it's given me a lot of perspective that I can apply to the way I navigate around circumstances, the way I deal with people and treat people. And it's very powerful. So what you said there is very, very, very powerful.
Okay, so to deal with our own anger, we must be willing to take responsibility for our actions. We must become conscious of how what we say and what we do affect other people, and care about their feelings and how we affect their feelings. You can't spout off rude words, harsh words, bad attitude towards people, and expect next day to see them and just smile with them and say, hi, how are you doing this morning? And everything is all right. No, it's not all right. You did hurt somebody yesterday. Apologize. If you apologize for having hurt people, there's something triggered inside the mind that helps you not to do it the next time, because you don't have to keep apologizing for the same foolishness or wickedness that you do over and over. So take, if you want to overcome anger, take responsibility for your own actions. Don't blame the world and express anger at everybody you meet because you have some pain in your life. Okay? Ask God to give you the grace to resolve the pain.
Right.
Seek professional help if you need to. Forgive those who have created pain in your life. Let me quickly say that the path to forgiving people is reframing the incident. And part of reframing, I will repeat the words again, people do what they do because of who they are, not because of who you are. Okay? So when you can look at the wrongs that others have done and you ask yourself the question, why did they do that? Oftentimes people who are hurtful to others have unresolved pain in themselves.
They're hurting.
They're just sharing the pain of their own past. And if you take it on, you're going to share it with somebody else. You're going to be angry at how the way they treated you, and the anger is going to be inside of you. You're going to pass on the anger to somebody else. So it's important to reframe the situation in which you find yourself and say, who is this person that is hurting me? They must be hurting really bad. And if I take on their pain and becomes my pain, then I become like them. And I don't want that. So let go. So by not judging the person and writing them off in judgment, or setting requirements of what they must do before they can be my friend or accept them as my relative again, but by simply accepting them as another human being who is as defective as we are. And if you don't see any defect in yourself, kind of take a second look. Because all of us have our defects. We are sinful mortals. And so by accepting our common mortality and recognizing that the other person, as evil and as wicked as they are, they must be in their own souls and spirit in great pain to be sharing that kind of pain. And we shouldn't take it on.
So what I'm hearing from you is that we should exercise compassion with that person that is angry, because we too are broken in different ways. Nonetheless, we're broken.
Yes.
And it drew to mind to me that we owe no man anything except to love them, right?
Yes.
But loving them doesn't mean that you have to stay in the circumstance that's causing you undue pain, because if the person does not want help, if they have no intention of changing, then that's where we have the saying that we don't want to deal with toxic people. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Okay, so if you've been in a toxic situation for a while and somebody's been using anger to manipulate you, that person has gotten inside your head. And the way to get out of that situation of having the person in your head is to physically remove yourself, if you can, from the environment, so that you have time to recover. Maybe seek some professional help or talk with somebody who can validate you as a person, so that the next time you interact with that individual, you are self-assured. You have your self-confidence back, and you are seeing the person just for who they are, not for who they make themselves out to be. You see them, and you can look at them with pity and compassion, and they will try to press your button and to get you to cry and to feel small, and you sit there and watch them and say, okay, press the next button and see what happens, because I'm not going there.
No, I want to hit, before we close here, I want to hit on one more thing before we close this topic for today. And that's this idea that when you're caught in a circumstance and you're dealing with toxic people and you forgive them, and I've had this conversation with several people, when you forgive them, you have to restore them, meaning that you go back into that relationship. And I'm like, no, you don't put yourself in harm's danger. You can forgive someone and love them from afar. You don't put yourself in danger. And the example I tend to use is one that we can't deny. If someone keeps on being physically violent with you, or raping you, or doing something that's physically harmful to you, and I use a physical thing because a lot of folks can't identify with that emotional side of damage that's done, because there's not a cut to show. It's all psychological or emotional. You forgive that person, but you can't put yourself back into the situation that they're going to continue harming you, right? And that's how I view it. Tell me how you feel about that.
It's important that you learn to love yourself. God loves you,
Exactly.
and God values you, and God wants you to value yourself. When you
Yes.
value yourself, when you love yourself, you cannot subject yourself to be somebody else's pawn in life.
Right.
That is one. Number two, you're not helping the other person by enabling them to use you as a victim and victimize you. You will, by holding them accountable, and sometimes the only way you can hold them accountable is to not share your presence with them. You remove yourself from the circumstance, so you
Right.
protect yourself, and you give them an opportunity to recognize that I have not been kind. The person is gone because I am not a good person, and I need to. They will have the opportunity to decide if they want to stay bad or they can now change and become a better person. It doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship is going to be restored, but they would have learned from it to be a better person as a result of your leaving. You've actually helped them to face the reality of who they are. So I usually use this analogy. If somebody comes into my house, I allow them into my space, and I have a few $1,000s that I want to do a transaction with, and they steal it. Am I going to allow them in my house again?
No.
They have to show that they have learned, they have grown to be trustworthy, because relationship is based on trust. They have to earn that trust before I could allow them in again. I can forgive them and still hold them accountable for paying back the money, because that's a powerful lesson that they need to learn to be accountable. Or I can forgive them and let the whole thing go. That's my decision, based on what I believe is best for the person under the circumstance. But I have no responsibility to anyone to keep them in my environment in a way that hurts me or my family.
Exactly. I think that's well said, and I think that's a good spot to close today. I could add that there are some people that no matter what you do, they will still blame you. They won't look at themselves, and that's something we can't fix. They need to get help. So I know that's the other side of it. So I want to close here today, and I want to thank you. And what's the next topic that you said you were going to do next on the brain?
We're going to talk about how the brain is affected physically by depression, anger, anxiety, all these negative emotions that we carry.
All right. So I'm looking forward to that discussion. So we'll leave it here today. Thanks again. And I look forward to that topic.
Pleasure.
To learn more about holistic ways of managing your health and well-being, click the link below to subscribe and hit the bell so that you can be notified of my weekly videos. To continue watching, hit the link over here for the next video, and I'll see you in my next series. Thank you for watching.